going to be thank you by whoever remembered to do that, Cassie. This is going to be kind of an update meeting on what's changing in the society, and some new things that are coming up in 2023 for our chapter. So I have a lot of information to share, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. See, I can't tell who's here. So Cassie, if you would do one more favor for me and snapshot who's here so I can turn in the list, I'd really appreciate it. Promise I'll be more together next time. Okay, so let's just get started. So the 2023 CPCU board and officers are listed here on this slide. And at the, excuse me, the January meeting, we usually do the installation of officers and a statement of basically like certifying our affirmation of what CPCU members stand for in this first meeting as well. So the installation of 2023 officers, any of the officers here besides myself? Okay.
Then it's Cassie. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, now I can, thank you.
You kicked me off the slideshow, I guess, but I am here and willing to do the officer.
Oh, geez. All right, let's try this again, shall we? All right, so Jade's here. I'm here, Beth's here. I think right now I'm the only officer for 2023. So let's do this. We will move the officer installation to next month's meeting. But we can still do our affirmation of professional commitment. So raise your right hand and we are going to read together the dotted section. All right, is everyone ready?
No, ready, girl, you don't. Your screen isn't showing.
Again? For the It's such a struggle. I told you, it's like I don't even work here. All right, is it showing now?
Yes.
Okay, let's raise our hands and speak the dotted part. You don't have to turn yours on if you don't want to, but let's do it together. 1, 2, 3. I shall strive at all times
to live by the highest standards of professional conduct.
I shall strive
to ascertain and understand the needs of others and place their interest above my own. And I shall strive to maintain and uphold a standard of honor and integrity that will reflect credit on my profession and on the CPCU designation.
All right, thank you guys. That was beautiful, even though I can't speak apparently either. All right, so the main topic for today is the 2023 Circle of Excellence. So they have made some significant revisions that still honor the things that the Circle of Excellence has always honored, but a lot of changes that were made have to do with our changing industry and the size of the chapters and who's getting connected where because of all our virtual things now. So we're going to go through that, and if you have a question that you think needs immediately answered, please just speak up. Otherwise, there will be a whole section for questions at the end. All right, so why a change? So there's been an over a year-long process by an established committee to look at the present, or excuse me, the prior to 2023 Circle of Excellence requirements and just kind of assessing how they fit our changing environment. This committee was society leadership and several regional governors also participated. Also throughout 2022, they had various meetings to get insight and input from members. And I attended a couple of those meetings, and some of the time there was some fairly intense debate, because some people thought it worked exactly fine the way it was, while some people really wanted to see a change. And a lot of the reasons I think that the change occurred has to do with, for example, we have international chapters now. There's just one entire chapter for Europe. So you can't really require the same things of those members to come together as a chapter to do, or be flying around and taking a train all over. So we have to look at what's important and embrace other ways to do those things. So the main goals were to review and improve the program, to ensure alignment with the society's strategic plan, to encourage participation, and to encourage sharing. The main components are still basically the same: provide relevant knowledge, chapter operations, chapter engagement and visibility, member engagement, and chapter governance. It's just some of the criteria below that has shifted a little. And we're going to talk about what's changing. So what has changed? They simplified the scoring. For any of you who have worked on the Commercial of Excellence document in the past, or have even looked at it or seen it, usually it's like from 1 to 10, how well did your chapter perform X? And so you'd have to decide, well, were we a 7 or did we not do so good? But were we a 3? Did we do some? And that can get, it's very much part of opinion. So they have simplified the scoring where a lot of it is just yes and no. Did you do this? Yes, we did it, or no, we didn't. They also are removing the platinum, gold, and silver designations. You're either in the COE or not. This decision was made a lot because the size of chapters vary. So the Tri-States chapter, that's like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Illinois, I think, has tons more members than the North Dakota chapter. Same thing with, there's several chapters in India. They are quite a bit larger than probably even our chapter. So it's kind of hard to set the same standards when their resources are not the same. They've also created optional recognition awards. They will be given annually, but not all at the end of the year. So for example, there's still going to be an award for ethics, an ethics meeting and how you handled it and how, how well it's done, but they're going to give that closer to the actual ethics month. So that way it's more timely and people can actually, if they haven't had their ethics meeting just yet, can get ideas from it. So now we're going to kind of go down another level of detail into the components that have now been updated for the 5 main prongs of the COE. So provide relevant knowledge. There's a minimum of 2 knowledge events a year. We must submit educational event rosters for auto reporting of CE for CPCU credits. Conduct a dedicated ethics activity to recognize Ethic Awareness Month. Conduct a dedicated activity in support of diversity and inclusion in a chapter meeting. The kind of cool thing that's changed about that is you're no longer required to have those meetings in those months. So say we find a speaker that would do a great job and has great ideas for diversity and inclusion, but we can't get them for Diversity and Inclusion Month. That's okay. We can have them the next month and it will still complete this requirement. All right, chapter operations. Chapter leaders attend into leadership and or into risk in person or virtually if available. Chapter leaders attend virtual regional chapter leader meeting. Chapter leaders attend or watch recordings of at least 6 of the CPCU Society Volunteers Leader webinars. And at least 1 chapter leader has applied for or is actively involved in an interest group, committee, or holds a higher level of leadership within the society, such as governor, member of the leadership council, or someone who performs another type of committee role. Chapter engagement and visibility. There's a minimum of 1 engagement typo, of one engagement event. The chapter website needs to be kept current. We need to do a monthly social media post. To improve visibility, we should present benefits of the CPCU designation and or of being a member of the society to a non-CPCU group. A recognition event / activity for volunteers. Minimum of one engagement activity for students. Minimum of one community engagement, good works, and at least one member involved in the mentoring program of the chapter of the society. Now, if our visibility requirement, we want to meet by speaking to a group of students, that also counts for the minimum of one engagement activity. So some of these can overlap and fulfill more than one requirement. The member engagement. They would like to see new designee outreach, new designee recognition, pathways outreach, post-career outreach, student or GIS outreach, lost member outreach and survey, and a member satisfaction survey. Chapter governance. Conduct training for new board members, complete a succession plan, define and report an operating plan, submit chapter leadership form, file IRS statements, and then recruitment and retention rates. So here's some of the chapter recognition awards. The Chapter Partner Award is recognizing chapter volunteers assisting other chapters for sustainability through shared best practices, mentoring, and collaborative efforts, such as sponsoring virtual events. There's also the Best Practice Award, recognizes chapter volunteers' efforts to share ideas, best practices, initiatives that are repeatable and elevate the overall performance of chapter volunteers. And I don't know if you guys are seeing a theme here, but the society is really excited and focused on chapters helping chapters. You know, they want us to reach out and get ideas from each other. And even some chapters host events, like they open up their meeting to anyone who wants to join in the society because it's a virtual event and it's a speaker that they think has value for any chapter. Some of the other awards that will also be seen are Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chapter Award, the Ethics Awareness Chapter Award, and the Community Engagement Chapter Award. Now, this meeting was held to update us all on these new requirements at the end of December, I believe right before Christmas. So at that time, some of the rewards, the specifics are being finalized. That's why the Partner Award and the Best Practice Award, I gave more of a definition, because the definition for these bottom three has not been completely finalized yet. But as of right now, these are the awards that they're planning to do. And like I said, you can get your chapter partner award in June. So there are forms and all that stuff that need to be filled out, and then a process where you submit that to your governor, and then your governor decides if they want to nominate you off of that information. So all the specifics of that have not yet been released, but we expect to have them by the end of this month, if not early in February. Questions? That went way faster than I thought. I'm sorry, I talk fast, I know that. Anybody have questions about the new COE stuff? Okay. No questions, then we'll move forward. So other chapter business. So this is something kind of exciting. The society has partnered with a new website vendor that's going to offer some more options. And all the chapters are getting access to this vendor, and we'll have a personalized meeting to set up the new website on the new platform. Now, this could take all year because it depends on when you can get your appointments scheduled. And as of right now, I have not been contacted, nor has anyone else on the board that I'm aware of, been contacted of times we can choose from. But that is coming, and what this will also help do, it's like a platform upgrade. It'll have all of our websites kind of with the same look and feel, but not the same content. Now, 2022 COE. This is a request to all of you. If you have any member involvement in volunteer work, had any publications, attended any kind of seminar that you think would be meaningful to CPCU, if you've been involved in an interest group that nobody is aware of, please email the Cedar Valley CPU at gmail.com by January 21st. All of that can be added to our COE reporting form, and we want to make sure that everybody's work is represented accurately. So if you have questions, you feel free to reach out to me specifically. It's jfrymark@exceladvantage.com. And if you can't remember that, just go ahead and email CPCU, Cedar Valley CPCU, and we'll get back to you to try to answer any specific questions you may have. If something would help, what can you be more detailed, what you're looking for, anything like that. So now we have to talk about our challenges with the 2022 COE. I just wanted to update you guys on some things that have been happening in the chapter. Unfortunately, there was a lot of decisions and actions that needed to be taken to get everything back on track. And we didn't want to bring this up until we knew what was happening and that we had a plan. So we did find out in fall of last year that we had lost our nonprofit status because some tax paperwork was not filed correctly. So that's one thing we're working on. We have also come across some indication of possible criminal activity. And we have filed a case with the Cedar Rapids Police Department. So it's currently ongoing. So we can't really go into great detail, but wanted you to be aware that it was happening. We have been working with society leadership on the necessary steps to take, and those are being accomplished in the order they need to be. Because of that, particularly the IRS form not complete and the loss of the nonprofit status, we may not make Circle of Excellence this year. And wanted people to be aware of that, because as a chapter, we've been very particular and consistent with getting one level or another of Circle of Excellence. So I didn't want that to be a huge surprise and nobody know where it came from. The end of the year was kind of challenging for your board members, but your board members did an outstanding job of working to maintain our standards and our ethics and to act in an appropriate manner. And we wanted to be able to tell you that it was in process of being taken care of before we had to give you an update week after week, because it did take a bit of time. But things are looking good for the future. And so that's what I'm going to talk about next. If you have concerns about the things that I just brought up, I'd be happy to talk with any of you individually. Just email the CPCU email address and I will follow up with you. But it is taken care of and being handled. All right, goals and plans for 2023 meetings. As a board, we had a long discussion about this, and we would like to try and get together in person at least 4 times in the next year. A lot of that is going to have to do on the COVID situation as those guidelines change and new variants come out. So that's why we set it at 4 instead of something more ambitious. When we did this past October, the volunteer recognition and diaper drive, it was really a lot of fun, even though a lot of people couldn't make it, but it was really a lot of fun. And I think that was because a lot of us had never even met in person, because it's been so long since we had an in-person meeting. So if you have ideas or suggestions for places, We would love to hear them. Again, just email your Cedar Valley CPCU. I'm kind of a commercial for the website. So, I mean, the email address, sorry. Another thing we are thinking of trying is maybe different meeting times, a different meeting day. So we will probably put together a survey to see what people think will suit them best. And get that out here in the next month or so. Because we have discussed that, and it's, as anything, everybody has different things that are good for them and not so good. We have obligations with children, we have obligations with other groups we belong in. So odds are they will probably remain lunch meetings, but we did want to put that out there so that people could say, yeah, keep them lunch meetings, or no, let's try something different. We are really going to focus on some of the changes of the COE and shoring up some practices so that we have, one of the big things we don't have is a succession plan. So what they would like to see is that we have new or different officers plan for the next several years. So as example for our chapter, if you noticed, I'm president again instead of past president, because we had several people who had these roles, we had already had these roles set up and established that moved out of the chapter. So one thing about succession planning is if that occurs, there's already somebody in the wings that has already agreed to doing it, and maybe you can ask them to step up a little bit sooner. That is a big push from them, and they really want to see that part developed. There was something, I'm sorry, I forgot to put in the PowerPoint. It's not about the COE specifically, but at the beginning of the year, the CPCU Society changed some membership roles. So instead of having a student, retired, or current CPCU, they've added a couple additional ones. So our bylaws are being updated to reflect that. And if you have questions, I can send you some more detailed information. I wish I could spout it off for you, but it kind of confuses me unless I am reading it right in front of me, because some of them sound similar to me and I have to think about them more. But the plan was to extend the opportunities for membership so that the chapter could continue to grow and develop. Like there's a kind of an increased in like focus on like risk managers and people who come from that side, not just like insurance company, insurance agencies. So it's kind of broadening the spectrum of the professions that are close to just plain basic creating and selling insurance. And so more of a focus on claims, which has been increasing in the last few years anyway, but also broadening out, pulling in more reinsurance people. And like I said, risk management people, because they have the ideas of how to help our industry morph and change with the things that are actually occurring in the outside world, so to speak. And with that, I'm also going to do a plug for interest groups, only because you can find out some really great information just by being a member of an interest group. I'm not saying necessarily serve on a committee or have any, involvement in running the interest group, but you can get, I personally am signed up for the risk management interest group, and I get at least 2 emails a month that talk about the highlights and the interesting things going on in risk management. And then there's also a chat where people ask questions and you can reach out and either give them the answer or add on to their question. So if any of those interest you, and there's of various amounts, I would encourage you to look on the society website and get involved in one of those. So our plans for going forward is we're going to concentrate on the things that we did not do well on in 2022, and then the new things that have been added and how we can work them into our chapter successfully. Because there are some changes that involve maybe different people doing different things. So we're going to get that ironed out and make it clear for the board and then for you, our membership. Also, no, we've already had elections, but if you have interest or you know someone who might be interested in working on the board, working with the board, if you notice, we only have 8 board members now. We definitely have room for more people. And we can do a special election if necessary. Also, please feel free to reach out with any questions about what's going to happen and how much time is involved and what all needs to be done. Happy to talk to you about that. Okay, so does anyone have any questions regarding this last section? Anyone have any comments? Anything they want to throw out there? Okay, well then I just wanted to say thank you guys for your attention. Thank you for being members and working to keep the standards and ethics and good work of the society in motion. And happy 2023. I'm very proud of my PowerPoint. It's only like the 3rd one I've ever done. So I realize it's not that great, but that's why I sound so excited.